Hi everyone, this is Gail from Long Days Journal, and I have definitely been crafting long into the night. Today I wanted to do a quick flip through of Cheaply Chic's Living the Sweet Life journal. And you know, my mantra has always been, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I don't usually give tutorials. And as I go through this flip through, which is also, you know, far from being a tutorial, it's more showing you how I interpreted Lynette's version of her journal. And I think I need to switch my mantra to, since I couldn't do it, you know you can do it, because there were several items that did just not translate well for me. But I have no doubt that you'll be able to go onto her tutorial, onto her YouTube channel, and follow her instructions perfectly. Nonetheless, I really like the way this came out, and I'm really looking forward to using this journal or finding it a happy home. So to start out, and you'll see that the kit came with this beautiful little fluted or scalloped circle with cherries stamped on it, and I've added this little circular tab, which you could also put a sticker on. And amazingly, well, actually, let me start off by saying this. A funny thing happened on the way to making this journal, and that was the good news being that I found lots of items that I already had in my stash. And I guess I'm flattering myself to say this, but I'll say it anyway, that it seems that a lot of Lynette's aesthetic and mine are very similar. So I had these little tags. But then lo and behold, I went to make the journal, and Lynette is showing this and describing that, and this piece of cardstock and that paper and this item which was included in the kit, or in the additions to the kit. And I said, I don't have those items. Like, what is she talking about? Like plaid paper, watermelon print, cardstock, this envelope, that envelope, this paper bag, and came to discover that I had mixed up the items from this journal, Living the Sweet Life, and the prior journal, which actually I'll just very quickly give you a shot of, which was this beautiful Rooted in Hope journal. And lo and behold, I'd mixed up the items and had already used a significant number of them in the Rooted in Hope journal. So it's all good, but I was patting myself on the back when I made the decision to use these little circular dangles in the Rooted in Hope, and realized that Lynette had spoken about them and encouraged the use of them in this journal as well. So here we go, and I said this would be quick, even though it's chatty, so it will be quick. I do like to start off my journals with the little library card pocket, and it's kind of like when you own a book and you put this book belongs to in there. And you could see all along through this journal, the theme is going to be fruit and happiness and summer and bright colors. And so we'll have cherries and watermelons and a lot of lemons. So this one has a little cherry theme, which I don't think was part of Lynette's paper, but I think went quite nicely. And on the next page, just some little sticker banners, and a nice little label you can journal on, and a little card stock cutout strawberry. So you'll see there's lots of room to journal in this book. Instead of my filling up all the pages prematurely, you know, you have lots of room to do that later and add your own thoughts. So again, a blank page with just a ruffle. Now here's where we get into my discussion of if I can't do it, all the more reason for you to try to do it. Lynette had demonstrated a beautiful technique for using a clear embossing ink and some embossing powder to do a series of cards with sentiments on them, in terms of some faith-based sayings that she had, fruit of the mind, for the journal. And I said, what a beautiful idea, even though I wasn't familiar with the particular sentiments. But lo and behold, I went to try to use her technique and thoroughly blew it. I'll blame it on the fact that I received the wrong item from Amazon when I went to ask for clear embossing ink, and the fact that I didn't use the type of embossing powder from the same company, the same brand. And so I quickly scurried around and collaged over this nice little inclusion. And I see I've forgotten a paper clip here, but I will add one to clip this little ticket into the journal. But so as you see the rest of them, what I will say to you is the rest of the cards, I did not attempt to use that technique, and instead will say to you all the more things that you can play with if you decide to do this journal or receive this journal, whoever gets it, and to do it yourself. And as Julia Child used to say, there are no mistakes when you're in the kitchen because nobody's in there with you. So I'll pretend that this is the way this was supposed to be, and that leaving the other ones blank for you to apply that technique yourself was my intention. So you could have all that much more fun playing with your journal. Here is just some fold-out stationery, which I've added some cardstock weight trim to. I do like to trim up all of, well, not all of my pages, but a lot of the pages in a journal like this, because the paper tends to be a little delicate, and so not only does this provide nice decoration, but it sturdies up the page for you to fold it in and out. Here again is a pocket that Lynette demonstrated, and another tag with the sentiment of peace that I've put in there. The tag, I think, came pre-stamped with the fruit on the back, but I've added the little dove theme for the purpose of the sentiment of peace. And just some more collage journals in another pocket. Again, it escapes me whether or not this particular cherry print was with the kit or not, but it certainly blends in well. And a collaged lemonade tag and a blank tag. And here's a tag that describes the term self-control. And forgive me, no disrespect meant it, but I did tend to apply my own interpretation of these sentiments and add my own bad sense of humor to them, and practicing self-control with showing the symbols of a perhaps champagne bottle and some cake, and the idea that too much of a good thing is, and ice cream is not necessarily a good thing when one is attempting to practice self-control. Some more trim on the paper here, and a little side pocket with a collaged tag again. Fruit of the Spirit. There we go. That's the faith-based sentiment that I couldn't come up with, but certainly applies to this journal. That's a collaged tag. And here is a some nice paper, which again is a totally different, if you looked on the flip side of this paper, which mine had a very dark floral print on it, which I think is totally different than the checked paper, which kind of reminds me of a picnic tablecloth, than the paper that came with Lynette's kit. But lo and behold, I had it and it worked out well. So I guess great minds think alike. And on the back of that, I've included a recipe card, and these, of course, are pockets in and of themselves. These little plaid plaid tucks here. And some of the pockets, obviously, I've included items. Others I've just kind of marked accordingly with a paper clip so folks know they can open it and are not thinking I just accidentally glued something together and are tugging away at it and tugging away at it. A little piece of lined paper, which I always like for writing in journals. Again, with some trim I came up with. Pocket with a tag. And a lot of these I have pre-sewn on my sewing machine and then glued them into the journal so as not to kind of damage this delicate paper with the sewing machine. But I also made a great discovery someplace along the way, which people have known for years, and that is to fake some of the stitching. Some people can do it by hand. I'm terrible with that, and I invariably ruin what I'm working on because, of course, I never try it out first. But I did find a rubber stamp, which I'll show you on one of the other tags down the road in the book, which has a stitch pattern to it, a variety of stitch patterns. So that comes in handy sometimes. So the next page, again, a beautiful little demonstration that Lynette did was the use of some lace to make a pocket. And here's the journaling card that I made to go with that. And this paper was part of the kit. And here's a little bee theme. And, you know, I know there is a rubber stamp that also exists to make that cute little dotted line with the loops in it showing the bees flying around. And I don't have that, and I'm afraid to draw it. I don't want to ruin it. Here's some washi tape. Here is a cute little pocket made out of an envelope that came with the kit, which I've decorated up, and you can further decorate. And I put a tag inside with some statements, both statements that came with the kit and also came with some paper that again I seem to have in common with Lynette, that had some nice summer food scenes on it, a sticker paper, which I will attempt to link below the name of that brand of paper. And it also comes with some nice cardstock kind of die cuts. So here's some cute little tags, and this one is kind of meant to hang over the page. So again, that you know this pocket opens, and they are kind of held together like that. I'm not going to try to put it back in while you're watching. And here's another cute little card which can fit in the pocket that I just happened to have that went along with the theme, a Thanks a Melon postcard. Some nice lined paper with some washi tape. Here's another little pocket, and some sentiments and a tag glued on top of, sewn, but glued on top of the music page. A little pocket, which Lynette also demonstrated, but I had to stylize because, again, I did not have or had previously used the little brown envelope that came with the kit. But you can certainly collage up the flap of the envelope, put some little tags in there, and you have a cute little tuck spot and writing space. Some more bees, a paper scrap ruffle that I made back in the day that I keep a stash of around. Here's just a little envelope with some ephemera that to include to add to the journal later on. A little bit of trim, which actually I think was the throwaway border to that this plaid trim I used here. But I, you know, being a saver and a hoarder, and as we all are, that's the whole idea behind junk journaling. I've used that little border to shore up the edge of this piece of paper. Here's a little envelope using some of the wallpaper that came with the kit, as well as a vintage recipe that came with Lynette's kit, out of which she demonstrates how to make an envelope. And itself is sewn, or rather glued onto this beautiful little bag, which is part of the signature pages in this journal. And so you have an envelope that you can put something in that's glued onto a bag that you can put something in. And this little note card was from my own stash, little apple. And if you flip that bag over, again, I probably shouldn't waste your time putting this back in the bag, but I will, because I'm compulsive. Here's a little, one of those small CD type cases, which I've collaged. And there's another tag in here, which was with the kit. And some cardstock weight stickers that came with that brand of paper and themed paper that I will try to link below. Okay, so here's another one of the cards with the sentiment of goodness on it, which if you look at Lynette's demonstration, she will have put some clear embossing ink over there, and then sprinkled some embossing powder, and then used a heat gun to dry it, and it makes a beautiful little glazed colored area over whatever portion you've applied those products to. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to ruin another card. And actually, I think I'm going to revert to what I'm accustomed to doing, which is when I want to emboss something, I ink it and then emboss it right away so that the embossing powder sticks to the wet ink of the images I've actually stamped, as opposed to trying to ink over it. So there's that card, and I'm sure it says something lovely on the back as well. Okay, so I've added some of my own sentiments there, trying to just really drag out that sweet honey bee theme. This ruffle really has an interesting story to it, because again, the theme of this, with all this picnic basket type checks and plaids, this actually comes from a little piece of cloth that I get every year from a safari company that my husband and I used on 2 occasions to take beautiful journeys to Africa. And every year they send us a little hanging ornament of an animal, carved out of wood, and each is wrapped in a little blanket of this plaid cloth, because the red plaid is very characteristic of the clothing that the Maasai people wear. And so I've been saving these little swatches of red cloth forever, and I finally found a great use for it. And you can see it goes quite well with the red cloth, which I didn't point out earlier, which is a ruffle that I purchased from the Chic boutique as well. Okay, enough of that. This was supposed to be short and sweet. Here's another sentiment. This is a love card. Here's some plaid washi tape that I came up with in pink that kind of goes with the theme. Here is another collage tag. And in the center here, when I saw Lynette do this, I said, what a good idea. Of course it was a good idea. She had it. I usually just hang the bookmark loose that comes with the kit, and she showed that in this particular journal she kind of taped it in there. Now the washi tape, unless you glue it down, is pretty removable, so I think, you know, this still functions as a bookmark if you want to move it over to one of your other pages while you're trying to keep the journal open on another page. But in the meantime, lo and behold, you won't lose it like I do most of mine, because you have it taped right to the center. I love this kind of blue, cloudy looking background. Actually, it's a heart stamped into dyed paper, home dyed paper. Here are 2 little pockets that, again, Lynette demonstrates, and her little message to all of us who were lucky enough to get this Sweet Life journal and some recipe cards that I had to put in this pocket, and the actual center of the signature. Again, before I watched her video, I know you won't believe it, but it's true, where she tapes down, I think, a couple of little hearts to out of flat stickers to these little center threads that where the signature is sewn in. I actually had some pretty thick chipboard images of fruit, which I stuck to each other and did the same thing. So either works really well. And here's a watermelon banner that I had. I believe she has a paper banner also on one of her pages like this. I love this ledger type paper. Again, it's delicate. I've trimmed it in some cherry washi tape. And this is one of my favorite little tags, so I was really afraid to ruin this one by embossing over it. And this has the sentiment of patience. And one of my favorite birds in the world is a penguin. Again, having been very privileged to take a wonderful, wonderful trip to Antarctica a number of years ago. And these little penguins have to be the most patient animals in the world, certainly birds in the world, because the fathers actually sit on the nest and eggs for weeks and months at a time. I'm sure you've all seen the National Geographic and other nature videos on the subject. And they sit and they wait and hatch the eggs while mama goes out and fishes for some food and comes back and feeds dad and the chicks. So patience is exemplified by these cute little penguins. And here's another little pocket. And of course, I made mine too small because I think I used up the paper that I should have saved to make a pocket across the whole page. But I just stitched it down and then sewed it on two sides. So it's more of a tuck spot than a pocket, and I can fit some bigger items in here. And this paper came with the kit. And this is a recipe using strawberries, which just happened to go very nicely with the theme. So I've included that in my little pocket, and it just fits down enough because, of course, I put too much glue there. I could have made this pocket a little deeper so that this edge isn't damaged when I close the book up. I always have things sticking out too far. Just another blank page with a little, again, paper scrap ruffle that I had lying around. This is a great pocket that Lynette demonstrates. This is the back part of the paper bag we showed earlier, and this would have been the bottom of the bag. When you open up the gussets, that white bottom that makes, that the bag sits flat on. So she covers that up, which I did as well, with some paper that she's sewn and then glued down, and I put some blank recipe writing paper in that pocket. And then if you open up the bag itself, there's actually room to put some ephemera or other recipes or papers, anything that you might want, and stash it in there. That's the back. This is that beautiful cloud print paper, and not being lucky enough to own a stamp that had clouds on it. I have not been out at this for that long, folks. So despite what you might think if you saw my room, my craft room, which is a disaster, my stash is not as big as some other folks. But lo and behold, I came up with some paper to use as trim that had clouds on it. So that worked out well for me. This is some paper that came with the kit, and that Lynette demonstrates. I also don't watch when I glue things down, and I tend to close up my book because I want to move on to the next page, and I'm smashing down my glue, and then things that shouldn't be glued together get stuck together. But okay, I've managed to release it. This is some writing paper that came with the kit, and I've stapled it to the top and colored the staples with some washi, so you have a built-in writing pad. I think I was getting tired right about here because I didn't really collage this or put an envelope on it to any huge extent, but I like the music paper, and even though, you know, it's not as prominent a theme in this book as it is in some of my other journals, I thought it would be nice to leave that music thing open, and hey, all the more room for whoever decides to give this journal a good home, if not myself, to collage, do some more collaging over that after. Here's an envelope made out of a little glassine bag, and some collaging on that, and inside the bag I've collaged a little tag using, I tried to use pretty much, well, I guess 3 or 4 of the different types of paper or washi tape that appear in the rest of the journal in order to tie it in. So there's my cherries and my clouds and my plaid and the lemon theme. But I have to tell you, this is the cutest little scrap of paper, if I can get you to focus in on that. Not scrap of paper, of fabric that I got, you know, in those bundles of fabric that you get in your craft store. Little squares of fabric, some are bigger and some are smaller. I think these were 3 by 3 squares. This was the cutest little fabric that actually has sunflowers on it, and a portion of the fabric, which I've managed to cover up here, has some kind of fruit on it, and these little birdies, and again that little checked theme that goes with kind of the picnic basket theme. And I guess I must have used up this fabric on a number of other projects because it's really breaking my heart. But that's all I could come up with was this tiny little scrap to include in this journal. And I think there might be one other tiny little scrap someplace down the road here. Some more washi tape. Here's another great little envelope, which was part of the journal, and a sticker that I found, a sticker label that I thought went nicely from my own stash. And here's a beautiful collaged tag that came with the kit, and some tickets, and another one of these beautiful little hanging circular tags that fits right nicely in that pocket. And some little cherries that I stuck down in the corner. Again, more as a reinforcer for the paper than anything else. And here are some ruffles on these 2 pages. And see, I've gone ahead and glued this down again, and it shouldn't be. Let's see if I can, there we go, get it apart. And some washi. And I've written a note to myself here, which was probably that I wanted to include something over there, but I can't read my own handwriting, so when I figure out what it is, I'll include it. Some writing paper, another little collage tag on top of a book page, and then an envelope on the back of that book page. Again, I don't know what happened to the envelope that which was actually a small brown, you know, kind of seed pocket or coin size bag that Lynette demonstrates with the kit. Who knows what I did with it, but I did find this little brown bag and collage that up a little bit and include some goodies in there, tickets and other kinds of ephemera in there. This is a beautiful pocket that Lynette demonstrates how to make, and I put another, I just happen to have a lemon dessert recipe that fits perfectly in there. Some more variety of washi tape. Again, different paper, different sentiment. Don't know where I came up with it, but fits nicely on this page. And a little simple collaged tag that just about fits in there. I think I cut a bigger one down, and also utilizes some of the rest of the themes and papers from the rest of the journal to tie it in. Okay, so this is a little type of item that I like to include in a lot of my journals, and it's a little matchbook cover style notepad. And I was able to utilize the themed paper. There's the bee carrying on here, and these will flip open, and you can put as few or as many pages as you want inside the matchbook cover. Remember I was saying before that the back side of my check paper had this design on it? Well, there it is, coming into play. And this makes a nice little notepad, which you then staple down to the inside of the cover or glue down to the inside of the cover. You perforate here. I use a little perforation tool so you can rip off these note pages if you want. And close it up like it looks like a little matchbook cover and include it in your journal. I don't know how this, I'm also not used to filming and talking at the same time, so hopefully you're seeing the items and not my very unmanicured hands, which I'm sure we're all suffering from over the last few months, but hopefully you'll see more of the work than me. The back of that piece of paper, which stationery, which was included. Here's another blank page, and I came up with somewhere, obviously fruit themes are very popular, somewhere I came up with a chipboard pear. How lucky for me. And a little banner kind of kite cloud theme, which I thought fit in. And okay, so this is by way of apology to Lynette and the fact that I really butchered her Fruit of the Spirit theme in this. And what I've done instead to make up for it is include some positivity cards. And the idea for this actually came from the Paper Outpost, Pam from the Paper Outpost. Although I did make it my own in that Pam, and I'll link her below as well, uses this as kind of a little card game where, you know, kind of like Magic 8 Ball, where you ask a question and, you know, Karnak, and you ask a question and you pull out a card and it's supposed to give you an answer. I couldn't think of questions or answers, but instead I just made some positivity cards to put in here, which I thought went nicely with this theme. I know this is more this kind of dark grunge kind of color, and vintaging of the paper and aging of the paper and mushrooms is usually my go-to, and so I hope it doesn't darken this beautiful, light, airy, colorful journal of Lynette's too much, but I thought the theme kind of made up for it. And in here I've given folks some loose sentiments and quotes that they can include in the journal themselves, as well as cards that I've made up. This says positive vibes only, and I've collaged the front and the back of these papers, some with pictures, fruit pictures, or veggie pictures, or animal pictures, and most of them with a positive quote on the back or the front, depending on what. This one, I love this. I went kind of far-reaching with things that were positive for me, and things that persevered, and things that were resilient. So, you know, I thought a mushroom fit that theme because, you know, look, they grow against all odds in the dark. How weird is that? And the tortoise and the hare, right? You know, we know the moral of that story, and this resilient character over here. This is a dragonfly, and I think that very delicate kind of winged creature flies against all odds. So that's certainly positivity. What do we have here? And we're almost done, folks. Here's my dragonfly friend again, and I guess I must have just liked that old book paper, because I didn't really collage it, but have fun. Collage it with whatever you want. And last but not least, another mushroom and another positivity quote. So that's an inclusion for this journal, which I'm really very, very fond of and proud of, and hopefully will make up for my having, as I said, really not been successful with the Fruit of the Spirit theme. So hope you like this. Hope it wasn't too chatty. Now you'll know why most of the time I just do still photos and string them together in a slideshow with some music in the background. And if you prefer me to stick to that MO, let me know, and I will in the future. But I hope you like this, and remember, if I can do it, you can, and if I can't do it, you certainly can. And you all come back now real soon.